Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with George Groves. We've just seen Chris Billam-Smith avenge his only defeat in the professional ranks to Richard Riakporhe at Richard Riakporhe's own ground. Talk me through the victory.
Great win for Chris Billam-Smith, wasn't it? I wasn't sitting ringside with my little scorecard scoring the rounds, but it felt really comfortable in Chris Billam-Smith's favour. I thought he was winning the rounds. I thought he was, at times when they were close, edging out the rounds. I thought he was doing a better work. He was finishing strong, in those last minute, 30 seconds of each round. Riakporhe landed a couple of heavy shots, but only really one round that sort of stood out for me in that respect. It was a pretty comfortable win for Chris Billam-Smith as the champion. He negated whatever Riakporhe was able to bring. Riakporhe couldn't let his hands go, wasn't busy enough, and Billam-Smith was winning those punch exchanges, finishing the exchanges, coming with that second wave, going head and body nice. Great performance from Chris Billam-Smith. Made him a clear winner.
Were you surprised by Richard Riakporhe's ineffectiveness? Now, a lot of that will be down to what Chris Billam-Smith did in the ring and Shane McGuigan's game plan, but we expected a little bit more from Richard?
Well, yeah, sure. But the thing is, it's sort of that yin and yang, sometimes when you're disappointed with a fighter, you have to pay tribute to his opponent who has sort of turned him off or negated his good work or just not allowed him to get off. And I feel like we can't overlook what Chris Billam-Smith done well tonight. If you go back to the first fight where, it was much more to and fro, there was in 50-50 fights, they were warring on the inside and maybe Riakporhe was landing the cleaner shots and that's why it edged him the fight. Whereas this time round, Chris Billam-Smith just didn't let Riakporhe into the fight at all. Boxed a tremendous fight. Simple stuff, I think, and I think he'll openly say the same. Simple stuff, but effective stuff, and had the eye-catching shots, and more than enough to win the rounds as they were, accumulating on. And I wanted Riakporhe. If I was a Riakporhe fan, I would want a bit more from him. I want him to let his hands go, throw caution to the wind, and be a bit more risky. Maybe punch when you're out of position or come with that second wave, but he never had the confidence to do it. And I truly believe that's because Chris Billam-Smith didn't let him do that. It was a really clever, measured fight from Chris tonight. At times we've seen him in sort of scrappy fights. It's synonymous in a cruiserweight division where we see scrappy fights, but that was not what we saw tonight. It was a really clever, technical boxing match. And for someone who, apparently is limited in his boxing ability, limited with his amateur experience, Chris Billam-Smith gave Richard Riakporhe a boxing lesson tonight. Full credit to him.
I noted in the fight week build-up, the content, Richard Riakporhe said that he likes the ring walk of Chris Billam-Smith, and it says he reminds him of George Groves' ring walks. You're no stranger to stadium fights. Is the mentality different when you have a stadium fight? And do you feel that Chris has really embraced that off the back of the Bournemouth show and now this one?
He could have. Ultimately, Chris is the one with skin in the game. Skin in the game. And, tonight it was about, in his prep, in the change room for the fight, it's like, how do you deal with this occasion? How do you perform under these bright lights? And he's done it time and time again, it feels like. I know he's only had one stadium fight at Bournemouth, but he's headlined in Bournemouth numerous times now. The pressure's been on him. He's fighting someone who he's boxed before and has beaten him, but he's the one who came in with the most confident frame of mind. It felt like from the outside. He's the one who came in with that experience of big fight nights and big fight occasions. And he looked zoned in and sort of switched on and ready to go from the get-go. I thought every part of him, if you're a Chris Billam-Smith fan, each and every time there's a little bit of heart palpitations, a little bit of nerves. You know what I mean? Obviously, when he's going in against Lawrence Okoli, who's a huge puncher, you're thinking he's the underdog. Could he get caught? Even last time out, defend his world title. You're like, is there going to be a dip after that momentous win after become the champion? And there's times where he gets caught, but tonight, even on that ring walk, I thought, this guy looks zoned in. This guy essentially has got skin in the game. He's vastly experienced now. He's had a lot of big fight nights, big fight build-ups. He's totally in tune with the build-up as well as his body, as well as the prep, as well as everything else. And I think he showed tonight. an experienced performance from Chris Billam-Smith. It was way too much for Richard Riakporhe.
Unifications are clearly on the horizon. I want to go to the obvious question here. Riakporhe being the obvious one to unify against, seen by many as the consensus number one in the division. Is he for you, and how close is the fight between the two?
Yeah, I think, you maybe you can make a case for either or, but like the excitement is with Riakporhe right now. But we saw him last time out. Obviously, got another win over Marcus Breedis, but he didn't ice him like we all thought he was going to do. We didn't think, he's going to beat this guy who hasn't boxed for 2 years. 40. I think he's pushing 40 now, Breedis. But he didn't. And Breedis came on strong and pushed him in those last, 4 rounds, if I recollect. So, I think that's edged the gap. And if you look at Billam-Smith's performance tonight, Obataya's performance last time out, it's not a foregone conclusion that Obataia is a huge favourite going into that fight if these two are to unify one day. Chris has had the experience of boxing at home, boxing away from home now, boxing in stadiums. So, you've got a long way to go against him. He always overcomes the odds. And if that is the fight that we get next, Obataia against Chris Billam-Smith, I'm excited for it. Obataia is an exciting fighter. He's someone who will be a fan favourite. I'm a big fan of Obataia, as well as a huge fan of Chris Billam-Smith. I'd love to see them two fight. I think it'll make for a fantastic fight. But we've got Ramirez, isn't it, out in the States? Moved up to cruiserweight now, beat Billam-Smith. So, what would be a lovely thing for Chris Billam-Smith would be, are we going to Vegas? As Brits, are we going to go to Vegas and see a Brit go and unify out in Vegas or New York or wherever that may be, LA? That'll be a monumental moment for him, a significant chapter of his career, something that I think he deserves. He's one of the most improved fighters in Britain, if not the most improved fighter in Britain. He's the only male world champion on Sky Sports at the moment. Deserves an awful lot of respect. And I think a lot of people within the industry thought he was going to get beaten tonight. Thought, he was here, he was a set-up, and he was here to get bashed, and Richard Riakporhe was here to take the mantle. But he showed them that that's not the case. There's a lot more to see from Chris Billam-Smith, whether that be unifications in Vegas, a fight with Obataia unification, maybe in Saudi, maybe in Wembley, maybe somewhere else. Many, many more big nights for Chris Billam-Smith. I can't wait to see him.
Just get your thoughts on a couple of quick things before I let you go. First of all, a video surfaced of Tyson Fury drunk, intoxicated in Morecambe pub, heading in towards, it's a while away of course, but the second fight, the rematch for Undisputed. Does that concern you heading into that rematch with Usyk for Tyson Fury? If he's going to get the victory, maybe he needs to curtail some of those nights?
I'm not sure when the date's set. He doesn't need to be in camp yet. Maybe it's good for Tyson just to have a good old blowout before he gets back in the gym and gets his head sort of back in the game, knuckle down, switched on. So I think this is how he operates. Many fighters do. They have to have a complete blowout before they get back to work. Not ideal, seeing the former heavyweight champion stumbling about, falling over or whatnot. But it's not the first time we've seen it before, and actually, it's nowhere near the top of the surface of some of the stuff we've seen Tyson Fury do in the past. So I don't think you'll ever see Oleksandr Usyk doing the same thing, stumbling out, falling over, making a scene of himself. But maybe that's the difference between the two champions. So, but the rematch is apparently on. I hope we get it.
What's he got to do to win the rematch? What adjustments have to be made? And do a lot of the adjustments have to be made in the corner specifically?
Yeah, there's criticism from the corner. There's 3 loud voices that he was getting throughout the fight. But he's in there with an exceptional fighter. I think Usyk is an exceptional fighter. He'll have to figure him out. And there were spells within that fight they had where he was having success. Can he sustain that? Find it again and make it last the entire fight? Who knows? But Usyk, he started strong. Had a little wobble in the middle rounds and then dialed it up and nearly stopped him, got the points win. So, yeah, who knows?
Very lastly, Daniel Dubois has now put himself in pole position for an anti-Joshua fight at Wembley. What do you think of Dubois' chances of beating anti-Joshua?
I think it's a great fight. We should all switch in. I think both guys are on a high. Both guys are performing well. Joshua's, boxing really well. He had that fantastic win against Ngannou. it's a cage fighter, but still done well. And Dubois is flying. For Hrgovic, I think he was an underdog, certainly for that fight. Took some stick, took some big shots, and came back and stopped him, and rightly so. I think, even though he stopped on cuts, Dubois was getting to him, was going to stop him. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Joshua beats Dubois, like we would have thought maybe 12 months ago. I think Dubois is improving. Dubois has always got that big hit. So is Joshua. So let's see. I think it's a great fight. I mean, if we're looking for fights to be made, this is a fantastic fight to be made, and probably the perfect timing for both fighters in terms of their paths to cross now. And it might just be for a full belt title. So why not, eh?
George, pleasure. Thanks so much for taking us out. Good man.